So every time a new iPhone comes out, in particular, I mean other phones too, but in particular iPhones, you know, they always put the iPhones against this camera, that camera. You know, now the iPhone camera has 45 megapixels, been down to 12 megapixels. I guess if you use it in RAW, you can use the full 45 megapixels. Sensor size has been around. Well, let me just say image size has been around since I started in photography. You know, because 2.25 medium format, if you will, film versus 35 millimeter. Now my boss from 1982 would kill me if I used the 35 millimeter camera on a wedding. He insisted on the Hasselblad 2.25 because of image quality. And you know, then it was 35 millimeter, and then it was the pockets, and then it went to, you know, 110 film. Oh, it's just as good. You know, it's the negatives are the size of your fingernail. And the same thing with sensors. It's, you know, everybody's bitching that you don't need a full-size sensor. You do need a full-size sensor. Medium format's better. And now they have the crop medium format. You know, it's a never-ending argument on what we need and how we need it. Now I'm talking straight photography, not video, because I know very little about sensor size for video, and to be honest, it confuses the hell out of me. That some of these smaller sensors like Micro Four Thirds can be better than this or that, and you know, I look at it and go, you know, how? But I understand that there are cases where I'm not even going to say it because I don't know enough about it to say. For me, now I've tried every single camera. I even had one of those little Lumix cameras with a Micro Four Thirds in it. And I remember my very first crop sensor was the Fuji X100. And I had to do a job for a coat company. And I was in Alexandria, Virginia at the time shooting this. And I had that X100 on me and I did some shots with it. And they were fine. You know, there's no question about that. But, you know, when I went to edit them, I was, you know, a bit taken back. But I think a couple of them were actually used in the catalog. So there's that. But, you know, I did get the Lumix, that Micro Four Thirds, and when I went to edit the photos, I was just like so disappointed when I zoomed in to edit. I was just like, God, there's not enough information here for me to edit, and the depth was, I don't know, like most of the smaller sensors in the pocketable cameras are like way over sharpened, you know, to make them look better than they are, if you will. There's like no depth to them. They just look flat to me. And again, this is my opinion and my experience with them. You know, if somebody asked me, do I need a full frame sensor? Well, with the cost of cameras today, I say why not? Because you can do more with more real estate on a sensor. Now, I know there's going to be arguments of, you know, I used Fuji's. I did a billboard with a Fuji. I have nothing against it. I just ordered another crop sensor camera that the sensor is 5 or 6 years old, and I don't care. It's going to do what I need it to do for the jobs that I needed to do it with. You know, but you can't just put in a blanket comment saying this one's better than this one, because you know, if you want a smaller size body and that's what you feel good shooting, I love small size bodies, but I want the full sensor because I want the real estate to be able to edit and correct, and I like depth. And I don't get depth with a crop sensor as much as I do with a larger size sensor. You know, I use the Hasselblad X1D 50C Mark II, oh God. And that sensor was 5 or 6 years old when I got it, and it was probably one of the best sensors I've ever used in my life. It was a 50 megapixel, the depth, you know, in between that with the lenses, it was just probably one of the best images ever created for me in my workflow. Now I have the Leica, which is 60 megapixels, 36 and 18. I use the 36 continually. I do use the 60 if I need that reach, if I need the croppability, or if a client says we need a minimum of. I need that extra, but 36 works great for me. But that on a crop sensor and losing the glass real estate, that's it's just, for me, it's not a go. But you can't say that shoving 48 megapixels on a sensor that's smaller than your pinky nail is going to compete with a micro four thirds, a crop sensor, or a full-size sensor, or anything else for that matter. It doesn't work. So if somebody asked me today, should I get a crop? Should I get a I love the Fuji cameras. I love the ecosystem. But for me personally, I need the full-size sensor for the end result. But if I was shooting nothing but social media, oh my God, I would shoot nothing but a crop sensor because of size, lens size, and so forth. That's why I went to Leica, because of the lens size. I don't want to carry these giant. I was looking at the setup that I have a job tonight to do in New York, and I'm looking at my setup in my camera bag, and everything is fitting in one small bag. And my camera and lens setup is smaller than one of the Canon lenses. Like, the lens alone, not the system. I'm talking the lens alone is bigger than my camera system. And for me, that's just too much. I don't want that hanging around my neck, especially when I'm doing events and long days. And I know, like, you young folk can handle that. Us old folk, we can't do that. And if I'm getting the image quality and I can focus just fine, I struggle a little bit when it's dark or at dark events. I have to work for my images for manual focus, but it's really rewarding capturing them and doing that. And I, at the end of the day, I'm still good. I'm not having ache pains or wrist. I have no issues at the end of the day. But when I was carrying the Canon, I mean, my neck and my shoulders, everything hurt at the end of the day. But sensor size, yeah, like, I'm so sick of the, iPhone against this one, iPhone against that one, or, doing a micro four thirds against the medium format. No, they're not going to be the same. You can't, I know there's going to be some that are going to try to justify it, saying, oh yeah, it's just as good. And yeah, I'm in the old school where, a large negative beat a small negative every day of the week. And for me, in my personal experience, a larger sensor beat a smaller sensor every day of the week. And like I said, it's because of my workflow. If I was doing just this, or I didn't need prints, I'm sure that, any crop sensor camera out there today would be just fine. And that's where I'm going with it. So, you really have to look at your work and say, am I going to do anything with this? Now, the other hand, the other side of that is obviously a lot of people are hybrid shooters, and again, I can't chime in on that. I don't want to chime in on that. If I need video, you see my videos, they're horrible because I don't care about video. I am working on the audio. I got that DJI microphone, the wireless microphone system, and it seems to be working out really good. I did get a lavalier mic to plug into this. It didn't work. I got it from Amazon or something. And I got one of the good ones. It just doesn't work. But this just seems to work fine. So I hope my audio is better. But anyway, I just wanted to chime in on this whole sensor size crap that's constantly, and megapixels. Oh my God. So I did get a crop sensor camera that's 5-6 years old. And I think it's 24 megapixels, and I don't it's going to be perfect for me. I remember shooting with the Nikon 18 megapixel, and I loved it. I didn't need any more than that thing offered me. And I did print sizes by 16 by 20, and they were great. But today, with clients demanding X, I need to do that. So, okay, I'm done. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thanks for watching and enjoy your day.